Howdy, folks. I am Alan for today's news. I will be reading and speaking about world news, interesting news, news to keep you entertained, and news to keep you informed. And what I got for you today is from 1945. It says Putin is shaking with anger. Could Ukraine really take back Crimea? This was from yesterday. It says here why Russia could be ejected from Crimea. From November 13 to 16, 1920, the government of South Russia evacuated over the sea of the Crimean Peninsula, which could have the last stronghold of the white movement of the Southern Front during the Russian Civil War, nearly 2 decades later. Nazi Germany took the peninsula during the Crimean campaigns, that's hard to say, which lasted from October 18th to 1941 until July 4, 1942. Well, that's history. That's what that is. Anyway, let's go on to the next one here. Actually, I want to hit this one here. Okay, this is from Fade Away World. This is yesterday, 7 p.m. NBA legend John Stockton claims thousands of athletes have died from the vaccine. John Stockton shares bizarre theory on COVID-19 vaccine. Since his retirement in 2003, Utah Jazz legend John Stockton haven't found himself in the spotlight very often. Over these past few years, however, he has really made it a point to share his views on various hot-button topics. At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, Stockton was among those actively speaking out against the vaccine, and he even spoke out in support of Kyrie Irving when he had his standoff against the vax. You have a lot of supporters, Kyrie, Stockton told fellow vaccine skeptic podcast hosts Chad Fisher and Tony Farmer. Not all them of can get it to you, and you can't get to all of them. But there's every bit a majority out there that's sitting there polling for you. They're not. Anyway, you can read the rest of this later. It'd be in my description box. So here, Stockton went quiet for a while, but then resurfaced this month, claiming that athletes have died from the vaccine. So you can read it later and give me your take on it if you want. I have heard stuff like that before. This one from 1945. This is not good. A missile from Ukraine went into Belarus. Will Belarus use Ukraine missile strike against them? The Belarusian Ministry of Defense announced on Thursday that its military took down a Ukrainian S-300 missile that entered Belarusian airspace in the Brest border region. The incident took place at roughly 10 a.m. local time. It says here the announcement came after the state-run Belta News agency reported that a Ukrainian missile had accidentally fallen onto Belarusian territory during Russia's latest round of missile bombardment across Ukraine's cities that took place on the same day. No casualties were recorded. The fragments of the intercepted missile were discovered just 66 meters from the residential property. One local person told a journalist that they heard a massive noise outside and immediately thought it was an aircraft flying nearby. I thought aircraft were flying. I thought it was war, a local person said. You can read about the rest of this in my description box if you like. And this is from Metro. Putin using deepfakes and body doubles to cover for ailing health. Vladimir Putin has been forced to use deep fakes and body doubles to attend public events over his rapidly deteriorating health, according to an Kremlin insider. Telegram channel General SVR, at least run by a high-ranking Kremlin official who has insider knowledge of Putin's condition, has long maintained the Russian president is secretly battling a range of illnesses, including dementia and several types of cancer. Their latest report claims Putin was forced to cancel a string of events in December after suffering from frequent bouts of dizziness and headaches linked to Parkinson's disease. In addition to the Parkinson-related side effects, the sources also claim Putin's alleged cancer is progressing, which is said to be affecting his general condition and performance. He is also prone to clouding of consciousness, which calls into question the ability to participate in large events. He sounds something like Biden, actually. Biden sounds like he has the same trouble. Anyway, you can read about the rest of this in my description box. Go on to the next one here. I read that one. There's another one from 1945. 5 places World War III could start in 2023. A 1945 tradition. We look at where World War III could start as we prepare for 2023 and 2022. The world came closer to great power war than at any point since the end of the Cold War. What do they have to say here? Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, an attack that almost immediately resulted in a combination of sanctions and direct military support for Kyiv. By early spring, the United States and its ally were pursuing policies that will result in the death of Russian soldiers, the destruction of Russian military equipment, and the long-term degradation, the destruction of Russian military equipment, and the long-term. Oh, I reread that part. Let's see. The war has had a rippling effect on the world stage, dramatically increasing the stakes of disputes that have quietly smoldered for decades. Ukraine, concerned that Ukraine might use nuclear weapons to restore its flagging fortunes, and Ukraine seems to have declined since summer, as the war has settled into a destructive stalemate. However, escalation remains a concern. Russia's inability to make progress may threaten the stability of the Putin government, inclining Moscow to contemplate dangerous escalation concerning over the ability of Ukraine to continue the war, and a long-term might force Kyiv to take risky steps to its own to break the stalemate. Let me skip down here. Taiwan. Worry about the imminency of a war between Taiwan and China was waned a bit in the past few months, in large part because of China's COVID experience. However, there is little doubt that cross-strait tension remains significant. The willingness of the Biden administration to take a risky position on the defense of Taiwan indicates that Washington has real concern over the prospect of a Chinese attack. Let me skip down to here. Greece, Turkey. Lost in all the discussion of the revalidation of NATO in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine has been a simmering crisis on the alliance southern flank. Over the past year, tensions between Greece and Turkey have increased. You can read about that later. Korean Peninsula over the past several months. So these are the places: China, India. Sporadic fighting between China and India continues on the roof of the world, although the real stakes of control over small. So these are a lot of countries fighting against each other. You know, they probably said Russia can do it. Why can't we? Oh well, let me go somewhere else. This is from Business Insider. Putin's inner circle is frustrated because the Russian president doesn't know what to do with war in Ukraine, report says. Putin continues to be isolated and has no plan for the war in Ukraine, the Washington Post reported. Putin's inner circle is getting increasingly frustrated with him, told the Post. Much of Russia's elite are losing faith with Putin and fear there is no way out, the sources said. He backed himself in the corner, you know. Putin's inner circle is frustrated because they feel that the Russian president is unsure of what to do next in the war in Ukraine. Several sources told the Post they believe that Putin does not have a plan for how to continue the full-scale invasion, which was launched just over 10 months ago. There is huge frustration among the people around him. An unnamed Russian billionaire who is in contact with top-ranking officials in Kremlin told the Post he nearly doesn't know what to do. As Russia continues to struggle in Ukraine, Putin has retreated from the public eye. He recently canceled his annual State of the Nation address, usually held on New Year's Eve. The address typically involves a speech to Russia's Federal Assembly, followed by an hour-long press conference with hundreds of journalists from across the country. Oh, let me read something else. I think one of his generals died too. I think the article said before. I got a gnat flying in here. I got plants in here. Anyway, this is from Newsweek. Once in a lifetime cosmetic event could be visible to the naked eye. Say here, comet zooming through the solar system could soon be visible to the naked eye from Earth in what will be a once in a lifetime event, and some astronomical predictions indicate that the object may never return to our cosmic neighborhood. We never see anything where I live because it's always cloudy when things like that happen. It says here C22E3 ZTF is currently located around 100 million miles away from Earth and will make a close approach to our planet in early February 2023. Comets are cosmic snowballs made up of frozen gases, dust, and rocks that orbit the sun. As they approach our star, these objects are blasted with increasing amounts of radiation, releasing gases and debris. This process forms a glowing atmosphere around the comet, known as a coma, and two vast tails of gas and dust. Based on how the comet is currently moving, astronomers estimated that it will come within roughly 26 million miles of Earth on February 1st, data from NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL. Solar System Dynamics Group shows that this is equivalent to more than 109 times the average distance between the Earth and the Moon. As with all comets, C2022 E3's ETF moves much faster when it is closer to the sun and decelerates as it speeds away. Again, by the time of its closest approach to Earth in February, the comet will be traveling at a speed of around 128,000 miles per hour relative to our planet, the JPL data shows. Don't tell you in kilometers, though. Anyway, you can read the rest of this in my description box. The link will be down below. They all work now. Figure out what it's doing wrong. This is from the Daily Mail. All the tax hikes hitting Americans July 1st reveal electricity costs to soar, nest eggs not safe. Democrats claim the Inflation Reduction Act would help ordinary Americans, but new analysis suggests people making less than $400,000 a year could end up paying $20 billion of the new tax revenue it brings in. President Joe Biden, he's not a president in my books. Joe Biden signed the Tax Act into law into August, injecting $473 billion of new spending on climate and healthcare. Yet there are strong concerns it will do little to reduce inflation. In fact, middle-class Americans will pay new taxes, directly contradicting Biden's promise to not raise penalties on people earning under $400,000. That means our taxes going up. See, January 1st tax hike. Looking at this picture here. Tax, $6.5 billion natural gas tax, increase household energy bill. $12 billion crude oil tax, household costs. $1.2 billion coal tax, household energy bill. $74 billion stock tax, 401k, IRAs, and pension plans. $12 billion corporate income tax passed on to households. Now, why should the corporate income tax be passed on to households? So here, the bill includes $430 billion in spending, raises $737 billion over a decade in revenue, and is projected to shave about $300 billion off the deficit. See, Biden been putting us in a hole. Now he's going to just take it out of our pockets. The House passed this bill 220 to 207 on a party line vote after it squeaked through the Senate 51 to 50, with all Democrats and Vice President Harris voting for it. It jettisoned many of the key social programs from Biden's original Build Back Better proposal. It raises $265 billion by allowing the government to negotiate with drug companies for lower Medicare prescription drug plan. Its climate provision, totaling $369 billion, are projected to cut carbon emissions by 40% from earlier levels. Anyway, you can read about this in my description box. Be down below there. See what I got here. I keep seeking down this seat here. Okay, this is from The Hill. The bad news, 2023 is already shaping up to be a very, very bad year. As the new year approaches, it is time to consider how 2023 might unfold. Of course, the starting point, the contemporary context, will be the recent history of COVID lockdowns, massive government spending, inflation, and constructed energy policy, driving up energy and food prices, as well as most downstream prices, wiping out retirement savings, federal strategy depressing the market, war in Ukraine, threatening nuclear confrontation, China's rising political aggression, corruption, the government institutions, and apparent government-led attacks on the First Amendment, at least according to the Twitter files. Rising urban crime, a surge in illegal immigration bringing drug crime and a disrupted labor market, a growing culture war on women, fueled by both by the Dobbs decision and the rising activism of the trans community, and chaos in the American educational system, leading to a sharp decline in student performance. Okay, my time's running short here. You're going to read the rest of this in my description box there. I'm just bringing you the headline news and report of it to you. This is from the Associated Press. U.S. Say Chinese intercept could have caused air collision. Beijing. This is out of Associated Press, Beijing. The U.S. military says the Chinese fighter jet flew dangerously close to the Air Force plane over the South China Sea, forcing the American pilot to maneuver to avoid a collision. U.S. Indo-Pacific Command said in a statement Thursday that the incident occurred December 21st when the Chinese People's Liberation Army Navy J-11 flew in front of and within 6 meters, that's 20 feet, of the nose of the RC-135, a type of large reconnaissance plane operated by the U.S. Air Force. The U.S. plane was lawfully conducting routine operation over the South China Sea and international airspace. The statement said the pilot was forced to take evasive maneuvers to avoid a collision. Okay, you can read about the rest of that in my description box. And let's see. How many more I got here? Well, I can't read anymore. I'll read this one here. This from the Associated Press. Unannounced rocket launch causes UFO scare. So, South Korea military confirmation it test fired a solid field rocket Friday after its unannounced launch triggered brief public scare of a suspected UFO appearance of a North Korean missile launch. The Defense Ministry said in a statement that the rocket launch was part of its effort to build a space-based surveillance capability and bolster its defense position. It said it didn't notify the general public of the launch in advance because it involved sensitive military security issues. A twisty tendril of vapor in white and red ombre could be seen snaking behind a bright white light in parts of South Korea's sky Friday evening. South Korean social media and internet sites were abuzz with messages by citizens who said they saw a soaring object, rainbow-colored vapor trail, or other mystical lights. Some also posted photos and videos. So they thought it was a UFO. It wasn't a UFO. Anyway, that's all I got for you for my news today, folks. I'm Alan for today's news. And like I said before, I'll be reading and speaking about the road news, interesting news to keep you entertained and news to keep you informed. So like, subscribe, share. Don't subscribe. Just keep watching once in a while. That's good. So see you later.